sovereigns within and around Europe during this period of time. It was a pretty common practice. So Mary was, as the oldest of the two sisters between Mary and Anne, Mary was the heir apparent prior to the birth of this son um, that James had born. James and his wife, and so the members of Parliament, the Protestants, essentially said, "Look, Mary was going to be the heir apparent. Let us invite them to come to England and topple James II, and they would be installed. William and Mary would be installed as the new head of the British, the English monarchy." Uh, William and Mary accept, and upon their landing in England, they slowly begin to march towards London with their supporters, an army. They attract supporters from within England itself. At the same time, James II begins to lose support. This even includes Anne, his own daughter, his youngest daughter, who defects to support her sister, Mary. Again, they're both, Anne and Mary are both Protestants. And so this is, kind of a family feud as much as a revolution. But what's interesting, and why this is known as a glorious revolution, is that it was nearly bloodless in its effectiveness. Um, James II quickly saw that there was no way he was going to be able to defend, let alone retain, his crown, and he ended up fleeing to France. He made kind of an effort to try and regain the crown, but that was thwarted just a year later, and he spent the rest of his days living in France. Again, France being a Catholic, predominantly Catholic country. So, with James removed from power, William and Mary began to govern in their own right, um, and this had obviously consequences and various levels of support in English colonies, like in the New World in the Mid-Atlantic region. It's one reason for the creation of William and Mary College in Virginia, near Williamsburg. So it's named after this event, essentially. So it met with popularity, not only within the country but within the areas under colonial control as well, by and large. Uh, so William and Mary governed. Basically, William is going to survive Mary. He governs until about 1702, at which point Anne, the younger sister of Mary, takes the crown in 1702, and she governs until 1714. What's interesting is that during Queen Anne's reign, is that she is going to the Parliament under her reign is going to enact what's known as the Act of Union, in which the United Kingdom is actually formed. This is the combining of not only England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland into one sovereign state known as the United Kingdom. Okay, that's where the Union Jack actually becomes the official flag of the country. The combination of the Scottish and English flags previously. So the Glorious Revolution is also going to act as an inspiration for another ground shaking event, which is the Enlightenment, the European Enlightenment itself, that was taking place roughly about the same period of time. In the 1780s, there's still early in its origins. It would be a movement that would basically come about during the 17th century and last well into the 18th century. And this is where you would have leading intellectuals and scientists and you know, philosophers, as they were known, trying to reconfigure humanity's understanding of virtually all aspects of existence. Now, this is a topic that is I'm just scratching the surface of right here, but we'll be taking an entire lecture to get more into the details of the Enlightenment. It should be noted that the Enlightenment is so important because in a Western context, it is the foundation, the event upon which the modern concepts of knowledge and learning, economics in some respects, education, social orientation, political philosophies, all of these different components are going to be influenced by the Enlightenment that affects Europe. And so we'll be taking a great deal of time to examine that. So this gets us to basically the early 18th century. From here, we'll be going into addressing just a little bit more of what's going on in the lead up to throughout the remainder, of the 18th century, leading to the American and French revolutions towards the end of it. I'm going to turn attention also to obviously more world history as well. I realize that we've been kind of European heavy here for a bit, but this is all kind of laying groundwork for getting into kind of more of a modern mindset and our understanding of what modernity is and how to identify it and how we today identify with it. So to sum up this lecture of absolutism on the one hand and this kind of more enlightened monarchy on the other, seen through something like the Glorious Revolution, you have these different concepts of how to govern. It's interesting that under kind of an autocratic system, that there is the intent is to create kind of an ironclad system, right? I mean, something where there is one ruler, that ruler has absolute power in order to affirm, you know, a solid, regimented type of governing structure. And yet, in many respects, it actually achieves the opposite, that it is not necessarily stable upon closer inspection. That when you start to take, kind of a national policy and begin to apply it to more of a local level, as seen in places like France and in Russia, then it loses traction. That the potential for corruption and kind of a corruption of the policy itself and its being just simply ignored or abandoned increases essentially. Um, so whereas on the other end you have in places like the Netherlands and after the Glorious Revolution kind of more of a system in place where in England in particular you have it's a monarchy, but it is a monarchy that has to be that answers and is much more responsive to um, institutions like the parliament, uh, where it's more of a negotiation of governing. That the parliament is actually inviting William and Mary to come in and seize monarchical power. This is not something that is just done out of lust for personal advancement. So and because of this event, because of the Glorious Revolution and that understanding between the would-be monarchs, William and Mary, and the Parliament, that this is going to, be in the best interests of English society as a whole, and the majority of members within it. So there's a much greater uh, a level of buy-in, of investment to you know make to sustain this kind of system of government. And so in that respect, it's more in the eyes of some that support this kind of more enlightened view. Um, it's more stable and it is more resilient. Okay, so the Enlightenment's going to factor into how absolute monarchs react to something like the Enlightenment, and the same is going to go for enlightened monarchies such as England, and we'll see what effect that has moving forward into the 18th century. But for now, this really kind of gets us understanding the bookends, these kinds of diametrically opposed influences and approaches to order within Europe and primarily Western Europe during this period of time. All right, take care, and I will see you in the next lecture.